Let me go through.
No, don't you hear me? You're disturbing my kids. This is the last time I'm telling you to leave.
How am I supposed to leave when you're blocking my way? My apartment is right behind you.
And you expect me to believe you actually live here?
You're harassing me right now, and this won't end well for you because I'll be suing you.
The hallway security camera was recording everything. A black woman in business attire holding grocery bags trying to get to her apartment. A white man physically blocking her path. His face twisted with hostility. And what was about to unfold in the next 11 minutes would end with police involvement, a massive lawsuit, and a man losing everything he owned. What this man didn't know was that he had just threatened to sue a woman who sat on the bench as a circuit court judge. Judge Angela Harris presided over civil cases every single day. She knew the law better than the attorneys who argued in her courtroom. And she had just moved into this luxury building in downtown Chicago 2 weeks ago. In less than 20 minutes, this man would find out exactly who he was dealing with. His life was about to become a cautionary tale about what happens when you let racism override common sense. Before we dive into this incredible story, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And please hit that subscribe button, because what happens next is absolutely wild. You need to see how this plays out. Judge Angela Harris was 47 years old and had worked her entire life to get where she was. Raised on the south side of Chicago by a single father who drove a city bus, Angela had grown up in a one-bedroom apartment where she slept on the couch until she was 14. She remembered doing homework at the kitchen table while her father worked double shifts to keep food on the table. But Angela was exceptional. Full scholarship to Northwestern University, full ride to Harvard Law School. She graduated top 5% of her class, clerked for a federal judge, worked as a public defender for 8 years. Then as a prosecutor for 6 more. She was appointed to the circuit court bench 5 years ago at age 42, one of the youngest judges in Cook County. Angela handled complex civil litigation, million-dollar lawsuits, contract disputes, real estate cases, civil rights violation. She had presided over more than 300 trials. She had written opinions that were cited in appellate decisions. Lawyers in Chicago knew that appearing before Judge Harris meant you better know your case inside and out, because she didn't tolerate sloppy work. 2 weeks ago, Angela had moved into the residences at Michigan Avenue, a luxury high-rise in downtown Chicago. The building had 212 units, a doorman, concierge service, rooftop pool, fitness center, and parking garage. Units started at $700,000. Angela's 3-bedroom corner apartment on the 23rd floor cost her $1.2 million. She had earned it every penny, 25 years of education and hard work. She wanted to live somewhere beautiful, somewhere she could walk to work, somewhere she could finally enjoy the success she had built. The building was 91% white. Angela knew that when she moved in, she had dealt with being one of the few black faces in predominantly white spaces her entire career. She was used to the stares, the assumptions, the microaggressions. She had learned to navigate it with grace and professionalism, but she had never expected what happened on this Tuesday evening in September. Angela had left the courthouse at 6:30 p.m. after a long day of hearings. She stopped at Whole Foods to grab groceries, just basics, milk, bread, fruit, chicken for dinner. She was wearing a navy blue suit with a white blouse, pearl earrings, heels. She looked exactly like what she was, a professional woman coming home from work. She entered the building through the main entrance. The doorman, Marcus, smiled and greeted her. "Evening, Judge Harris." She smiled back and headed to the elevators with her 2 reusable grocery bags. The elevator arrived, and she stepped in. As the doors started to close, a man rushed in behind her, white, mid-40s, wearing khaki pants and a polo shirt. Angela had seen him around the building, but never spoken to him. She pressed 23. He pressed 19. The elevator rose in silence. When it reached the 19th floor, the man got out. Angela continued up to 23. The elevator doors opened onto a hallway with soft lighting and thick carpet. There were only 4 units on this floor. Angela's was at the end of the hall on the right. Unit 2304. She walked toward her door, fishing her keys out of her purse. That's when she heard footsteps behind her, fast footsteps. She turned and saw the man from the elevator. He must have taken the stairs up. He was breathing hard, his face flushed. "Excuse me," he said, his voice loud and aggressive. "What are you doing up here?" Angela was confused. "I'm going to my apartment." The man stepped closer, invading her space. "Which apartment?" 2304. "Why?" His eyes narrowed. "I don't think so. I've never seen you before. I just moved in 2 weeks ago. Now, if you'll excuse me." Angela turned back to her door. The man moved quickly, positioning himself between Angela and her door. His body blocked her path completely. That's when Angela felt the first real spike of fear. This wasn't just a nosy neighbor. This was something else. "Let me go through?" "No." "Don't you hear me? You're disturbing my kids. This is the last time I'm telling you to leave." Angela looked at him like he had lost his mind. "Disturbing your kids? I haven't made a sound. I'm literally just trying to get into my apartment." The man's face was red now, veins visible on his neck. "How am I supposed to leave when you're blocking my way? My apartment is right behind you, and you expect me to believe you actually live here." The implication hung heavy in the air. People like you don't live in places like this. It wasn't said out loud, but Angela heard it clearly. She had heard variations of it her entire life. Angela's voice went cold, switching from confused to absolutely done with this situation. "You're harassing me right now, and this won't end well for you. I'll sue you." The man actually laughed, a harsh mocking sound. "You'll sue me, lady. I'm on the Hawaii board. I know everyone who lives in this building, and I've never seen you before. So, either you're lying about living here, or you're visiting someone, and you're not supposed to be on this floor. I live here, Unit 2304. I've lived here for 2 weeks now. Move out of my way before I call the police." The man crossed his arms, planting himself more firmly in front of her door. "Go ahead, call them. They'll arrest you for trespassing." Angela pulled out her phone. She didn't call the police. She called the building management office, the after-hours line. A woman named Jennifer answered. "This is Angela Harrison in Unit 2304. I have a resident blocking me from entering my apartment and refusing to let me pass. I need security up here immediately." Jennifer's voice went from bored to concerned instantly. "We'll send someone right away. Are you safe for now? But I want this on record. 23rd floor, Unit 2304. Angela hung up and looked at the man. "Security is on the way. You might want to rethink your position." The man didn't move. His eyes were cold. His jaw set. "You people think you can just move anywhere you want. This is a family building, a respectable building. We don't need your kind bringing down the neighborhood." There was "your kind" said clearly on camera in a hallway where every word was being recorded by the building's security system. Have you ever been told you don't belong somewhere because of the color of your skin? Let me know in the comments. Angela's hands were shaking, but her voice stayed steady. "Let me be very clear about something. I am a circuit court judge. I sit on the bench in Cook County. I handle civil litigation, and harassment, intimidation, and unlawful detention are all things I deal with regularly in my courtroom. You are committing several violations right now, and every second of this is being recorded by that camera right there." She pointed to the security camera mounted in the corner of the hallway. The small red light blinked steadily. The man glanced at the camera, then back at Angela, his confidence didn't waver. "I don't care if you're the president. You don't belong here. Why? Because I'm black. Say it. Be honest about what this is really about." The man's face twisted into something ugly. "This neighborhood was fine until people like you started moving in. Crime goes up. Property values go down. I have kids in this building. I'm protecting them from what? A woman carrying groceries? A woman in a business suit coming home from work? What exactly am I threatening?" The man stepped even closer. Angela could smell his cologne, could see the sweat beading on his forehead. "You know what you're doing. Don't play innocent with me." The elevator dinged, the doors opened, and 2 security guards stepped out. One was a black man in his 50s named Raymond. The other was a younger white woman named Casey. Both wore the building's security uniform. Raymond saw Angela and his expression shifted to recognition and concern. "Judge Harris? Is everything okay?" The man's head snapped toward Raymond. "Judge." Angela kept her eyes on the man. "No, everything is not okay. This resident has been blocking me from entering my apartment for the past 7 minutes. He's accused me of trespassing. He's told me I don't belong in this building. He's made explicitly racist statements, and he's physically preventing me from accessing my home. Casey pulled out her radio. I'm calling the police. The man finally seemed to realize the situation was spiraling away from him. Wait. There's been a misunderstanding. I didn't know she actually lived here. You didn't bother to ask, Angela said, her voice ice cold. You saw a black woman and immediately assumed I was a criminal. You didn't ask for my name. You didn't ask to see my keys or my ID. You just decided I didn't belong based on how I look. Raymond positioned himself between Angela and the man. Sir, I need you to step away from Judge Harris's door right now. The man backed up, but his face was still defiant. I was protecting my building. I have every right to question people I don't recognize. You have no right to physically block someone from their own home, Casey said, still holding her radio. That's false imprisonment. The police are on their way. This is ridiculous. The man sputtered. I'm on the Hawaii board. I live on the 19th floor. I'm Derek Franklin. Everyone knows me. Angela turned to Raymond. Can you please unlock my door? I'd like to put my groceries down before they spoil. Raymond pulled out his master key. Of course, Judge Harris, I'm so sorry this happened. The door opened and Angela finally stepped into her apartment. She set the grocery bags on the counter just inside, then came back to the doorway. She wasn't leaving. She wanted to see how this played out. Derek was pacing now, running his hands through his hair. Look, I made a mistake, okay? I didn't know she lived here. Can we just forget this happened? Forget it. Angela's voice could have cut steel. You harassed me. You physically blocked me from entering my home. You made racist statements that are recorded on camera. You committed multiple crimes and you want me to just forget it. I'll apologize. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Can we move on? Casey's radio crackled. Police are in the lobby. We're sending them up. Derek's face went pale. This is insane. I was just trying to keep the building safe from a woman with grocery bags. Angela shook her head. No, you were trying to keep black people out of your building, and you picked the wrong person to do it too. The elevator dinged again. 2 Chicago police officers stepped out. 1 male, 1 female, both in uniform with body cameras clearly visible in their chest. The male officer spoke first. We got a call about a disturbance. Who wants to explain what's going on? Angela stepped forward. I'm Judge Angela Harris. I live in Unit 2304. I came home from work about 15 minutes ago. This man, she pointed at Derek, followed me from the elevator, blocked me from entering my apartment, accused me of trespassing, told me I don't belong in this building, and it made explicitly racist statements, all of which is recorded on the hallway security camera. I'd like to file a formal complaint. The female officer looked at Derek. Sir, is this accurate? Derek's mouth opened and closed. There was a misunderstanding. I didn't know she lived here. Did you ask? Well, no, but did you physically prevent her from entering her apartment? I was standing in the hallway. That's not a crime. The male officer turned to Raymond. Is there security footage of this incident? Yes, sir. The entire 23rd floor is covered by cameras, sound, and video. We'll need to see that footage. Angela spoke up. Officers, I want a full report filed. I want this man charged with harassment, unlawful detention, and any other applicable violations. I also want to pursue a civil case for discrimination and emotional distress. Derek's face went from pale to gray. Civil case, you can't be serious. Watch me. Do you think this man should face criminal charges? Let me know what you think in the comments. The police took statements from everyone. They watched the security footage right there in the hallway on Raymond's tablet. The video showed everything. Derek rushing up the stairs to follow Angela. Derek positioning himself in front of her door. Derek refusing to move. Derek's aggressive body language. The audio picked up every word, including "you're kind" and "people like you." The female officer made notes in her report. She looked at Derek with barely concealed disgust. Sir, based on this footage and Judge Harris's statement, we're going to need you to come down to the station for further questioning. Questioning for what? Unlawful detention, harassment, and we'll see what else the DA wants to add. This is a joke. I live here. I'm protecting my home. The male officer's voice was firm. Sir, you have 2 choices. You can come with us voluntarily, or we can arrest you right here. Your call. Derek looked around like he expected someone to come to his rescue. The security guard stood impassively. Angela watched with her arms crossed. The officers waited. "Fine, I'll come voluntarily, but I want my lawyer present." "That's your right," the female officer said. "Let's go." They escorted Derek to the elevator. As the doors closed, he looked back at Angela one more time. The hatred in his eyes was unmistakable. After they left, Raymond approached Angela. "Judge Harris, on behalf of the building management, I want to apologize. This never should have happened. We'll be conducting a full investigation." "I appreciate that, Raymond. Make sure I get a copy of that security footage." "All of it, absolutely. And if there's anything else you need, please let us know." Angela finally went into her apartment and closed the door. She leaned against it, her hands still shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind anger and exhaustion. She pulled out her phone, called her best friend, Tamara, who was also an attorney. When Tamara answered, Angela's voice was steady but tight. "Girl, you're not going to believe what just happened to me." The next morning, Angela contacted Marcus Chin, one of the top civil rights attorneys in Chicago. Marcus had argued cases before the Supreme Court. He had won multi-million-dollar settlements against police departments, corporations, and individuals who violated civil rights. Angela met him for coffee and told him everything. Marcus listened, taking notes, occasionally shaking his head in disbelief. When she finished, Marcus sat down his pen. "Angela, you have one of the strongest discrimination cases I've seen in years. Everything is documented. Video, audio, witnesses. The statements are explicitly racist. The false imprisonment is clear. This is textbook. I want to pursue everything, criminal and civil. The criminal case is up to the DA, but with this evidence, they'll definitely charge him. For the civil case, we can sue for discrimination under the Fair Housing Act, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false imprisonment, and civil rights violations. We're looking at substantial damages." Marcus paused, then added, "You know he's going to claim he was just being a concerned neighbor, right? He'll say it wasn't about race." Angela smiled grimly. "Let him try. The video doesn't lie." The criminal case moved quickly. The Cook County District Attorney's Office reviewed the evidence and charged Derek Franklin with unlawful restraint, a Class 4 felony in Illinois, and harassment, a Class C misdemeanor. The video evidence was so clear that there was no question about what had happened. Derek hired a defense attorney, a man named Robert Clancy, who specialized in making problems go away for wealthy clients. Robert watched the security footage and immediately knew his client was in serious trouble. He tried to negotiate. He offered to have Derek apologize publicly. He suggested community service. He proposed a fine. The DA's office refused every offer. With video evidence this clear and a victim who was a sitting judge, they weren't backing down. The case went to trial 4 months later. It lasted 3 days. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on both counts. Derek was sentenced to 1 year of probation, 200 hours of community service, mandatory bias training, and a fine of $5,000. It wasn't prison time, but the conviction meant Derek now had a criminal record. His legal career, he worked in corporate law, took a massive hit. His firm put him on unpaid leave. Several clients dropped him. His reputation was destroyed. But the criminal case was just the beginning. Angela's civil lawsuit was filed 2 weeks after the criminal trial ended. The complaint was 48 pages long and cited 73 different cases. It alleged discrimination, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violation of the Fair Housing Act. Marcus Chin didn't ask for a specific dollar amount in the complaint. He just wrote substantial damages to be determined at trial. Derek's defense team tried everything. They filed motions to dismiss. They argued Angela hadn't suffered real damages. They claimed Derek was just being a concerned neighbor. They suggested Angela was being overly sensitive. Every motion was denied. The judge, who ironically was a colleague of Angela's, saw right through the defense's tactics. The case went to discovery. Marcus subpoenaed Derek's emails, text messages, and social media posts. What they found was damning. Derek had a history of complaining about those people moving into the neighborhood. He had texted other HOA board members about trying to make the building less attractive to certain demographics. He had posted on Facebook about property values declining when neighborhoods become too diverse. It was a pattern. Angela wasn't his first target. She was just the first one who had the resources and knowledge to fight back. The defense team realized they had no chance at trial. They approached Marcus about settling the negotiations. Took 6 weeks. Derek's insurance company wanted to pay as little as possible. Marcus wanted to send a message. Angela wanted justice and accountability. They settled for $1.8 million. But money wasn't the only term of the settlement. Derek was required to issue a public apology to Angela, resign from the HOA board, complete 200 additional hours of community service with a civil rights organization, make a $50,000 donation to a fair housing nonprofit, agreed to never hold a position on any HOA or condo board again, attend ongoing bias training for 2 years. Derek agreed to everything. He had no choice. The alternative was going to trial, and his attorneys had made it clear he would lose spectacularly. The public apology was released through Marcus's office. It was carefully worded by Derek's lawyers, but the key phrases were there. I was wrong. My actions were discriminatory. I deeply regret the harm I caused. Angela read it once and filed it away. The words meant nothing to her. The accountability did. The residences at Michigan Avenue also made changes. The building management company implemented new policies, mandatory bias training for all HOA board members, clear protocols for addressing residents' concerns about other residents, zero-tolerance policy for discriminatory behavior, increased security patrols, monthly diversity and inclusion meetings. Several residents who had supported Derek quietly moved out over the following year. Others made a point of welcoming Angela and making her feel at home. The building's demographics slowly shifted. More black families moved in, more Asian families, more Latino families. The building became more diverse, and property values didn't drop. In fact, they went up. Derek lost more than money. He lost his position on the HOA board. He lost respect in the legal community. His law firm eventually let him go. His wife divorced him, citing the embarrassment and financial stress from the lawsuit. He had to sell his condo in the building to help cover his legal fees in the settlement. He moved to a smaller apartment in a different neighborhood. His career never recovered. The conviction and lawsuit followed him everywhere. When potential employers Googled his name, the first thing they saw was articles about the racist incident in his building. Some people who followed the case felt sorry for him. They said he made a mistake, and the punishment was too severe. Others said he got exactly what he deserved. Angela didn't spend much time thinking about Derek. She had won. The system had worked. For once, a black woman had been harassed, and the person who harassed her faced real consequences. But the victory felt hollow sometimes because Angela knew that for every Derek Franklin who got caught on camera and faced accountability, there were dozens more who got away with it, who harassed black neighbors, called the police on black families at pools, questioned black people's right to exist in certain spaces. The difference was that Angela had power. She was a judge. She knew the law. She had resources. Most people didn't have those advantages. That's why Angela started speaking about the incident publicly. She gave talks at law schools about civil rights and fair housing. She spoke at community forums about discrimination. She used her platform to educate people about their rights and about the importance of holding people accountable. She also mentored young black attorneys and judges. She told them her story not to scare them but to prepare them, because the reality was that success didn't shield you from racism. Sometimes it made you a bigger target. 2 years after the incident, Angela still lives in Unit 2304. She loves her apartment. The view of Lake Michigan from her living room is spectacular. She's made friends with several neighbors. She's comfortable and happy, but she never forgot that evening in the hallway. The fear she felt when Derek blocked her path. The humiliation of being told she didn't belong. The rage at having to prove her right to exist in a space she had earned and paid for. She keeps a framed copy of the settlement agreement in her home office. Not because she's proud of the money, but because it reminds her that fighting back is possible, that holding people accountable is necessary, that refusing to accept discrimination is not only right, it's essential. Derek Franklin thought he could intimidate a black woman into leaving his building. He thought his position on the HOA board gave him power. He thought people who looked like Angela didn't belong in spaces like the residences at Michigan Avenue. He was wrong about all of it. And that wrongness cost him his career, his marriage, his home, and $1.8 million. Angela is still a judge, still presiding over cases, still ensuring that the law is applied fairly, still living in her beautiful apartment overlooking the lake, and every time she walks down that 23rd floor hallway past the spot where Derek blocked her path, she remembers that she refused to be intimidated. She refused to accept being treated as less than she refused to leave because she belongs there. She earned her place, and no one, no matter how bold their racism, gets to tell her otherwise. This story matters because it shows that racism isn't always hooded figures burning crosses. Sometimes it's a man in khakis blocking a woman from her own apartment because he can't believe someone who looks like her could afford to live there. But the story also shows that documentation matters, that security cameras matter, that knowing your rights matters, and that sometimes when you fight back, you win. One man, one hallway, 11 minutes, and a life destroyed by his own racism caught on camera. Thanks for watching this story all the way to the end. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. I share stories like this that need to be told. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever had to prove you belong somewhere? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.